Welcome to Brand Builders TV. Deep dive topics, tools and resources brought to you by global thought leaders from within the Brand Builders Club. This show gives you access to the strategies that you can use to move forward with ease and flow in every area of your life and business. In this fourth and final episode of the Lost for Words series, Gayle is going to focus on what to do next, such as how to diversify your business and how to create a lost for words strategy that ensures your business against the future timeouts. Learn it, model it, and get shit done. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of Lost for Words here on Brand Builders TV with me, Gayle Edwards, who is known as the Personal Brand Disruptor. So in this series, we have been looking at what happens when things go wrong and how do you bounce back. And you may remember, for those of you that have listened to all of the episodes, you may remember that in one episode, I think it was episode 2 actually, I talked about how your test becomes your testimony and being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and allowing yourself to express this to your audience, your clients, your network. I think I may have taken it a little bit too far. I think I probably thought that, you had to have some kind of skin in the game in order to talk about this, because that's exactly what happened to me over the past couple of weeks, actually, whilst we've been doing this series. And it's quite interesting because I've had to take my own advice. And what we're going to talk about in today's episode about how you diversify and leverage your message has been so key, because that is exactly where I found myself in recent days, having to do just that. So as it's the last episode, let's have a little bit of a recap. So first and foremost, what is the sort of thing that can go wrong? Because somebody actually said to me the other day that they've been watching the series, but they didn't think that it really applied to them because nothing catastrophic has happened. They've just felt stuck. So I want to take some time to just think about what are the things that can be termed as going wrong in your business. And being stuck is one of them, because when you're stuck, you're not able to move. You're not able to gain new clients or take advantage of new opportunities. Sometimes you can't even see new opportunities when you're stuck. And all of those things have a knock-on effect on your productivity and your profitability. So I would say that when I think about things going wrong, it's anything that is affecting either your productivity in terms of your output and your impact, or that's affecting your profitability in terms of your revenue, okay, and your income. Because they're the two main things that affect us most in a business when we're running our own business. So anything that's affecting those two areas can be seen as not quite working at optimum level, let's say. That's a nice fancy way of saying it, isn't it? That's the copywriter in me. So what kind of thing can that be? Well, most obviously, it's the most obvious things that spring to mind when you think about things going wrong is the failure of a business project, contract, assignment, client. Anything that falls into that is normally something's gone wrong. Either you've been let down or you've let someone down. Maybe it could be something along the lines of, you've been operating below par for so long that you're now facing bankruptcy even, or threatening, your business is being threatened with closure. Maybe it's personal. I've already shared my story with you, which was, it was the failure of my marriage that was catastrophic for me. For some people, it's also illness. It affects their productivity. They can't work. They don't feel well enough to be able to work. The same way that a breakup affects your productivity because you feel that you can't work. So again, I reiterate, anything that affects your productivity and or your profitability is something that's gone wrong. So that answers that question. And then we looked at ways in which to address that. Ways that work. I mean, you're going to hear many different ways from many different people as to what worked for them. But I guarantee, one thing I can guarantee is that it will fall into one, if not all, of the categories that we've already spoken about that help them get out of it. So the first thing we spoke about was self-care, was introducing a routine or a regime of self-care. Okay, because it's so important, it's so important that you look after your health and well-being. And especially now in these times we're living in, we're not living in the same times that our parents and our grandparents lived in. We have a lot of stresses, strains and pressures, and it's not that they didn't, it's just that this is a different time. And a good self-care routine really helps with that, especially one that also looks after your mental health. You know, something that strengthens your resilience, that builds your confidence, because all of those things keep us tongue-tied. If we don't have those in place, we become tongue-tied, i.e. lost for words. We cannot express ourselves. So that was the first thing we looked at. Then we looked at, you know, really getting out there and being honest, being open, using your test as your testimony, talking to people and letting them know that they are not alone. You've walked their walk with them. You understand. You're now able to use empathy. And all of this is really great because this adds another layer to your brand. So it doesn't matter what you've been through. You don't have to have gone through a marriage failure in order to help divorcees or people who are going through divorce. You just have to understand what those feelings are. If you can understand the feelings of loss, even the feelings of desperation, even the feeling of wonder, what on earth is going to happen now? If you can understand those feelings, then you can help people in those situations. That's why I say your test becomes your testimony. And then we looked about leverage. In the third episode, we looked at leverage. How do you now start to leverage and explore new opportunities, avenues, and networks in order to spread your message, in order to rebuild your platform? And all of that is great stuff. But today, I want to take it one step further, because a lot of us, especially if we've been through adversity, and we're not quite feeling ourselves. I'll be honest with you. I'm sitting here talking to you about this today, and I know what I'm talking about because I'm not quite feeling myself today, quite frankly, and haven't been for a few weeks. But that's life. Doesn't mean that we stop. Okay, we don't stop. So what I want to say to you is, how do you carry on? Because life isn't going to stop just because you're not feeling great or because you've been through. It's still going to continue. So today we're going to look at how you really diversify your message, because chances are that what you have to say, what you do, and how you serve and show up helps more than one person in more than one industry. So you might think now, let's take myself as an example, actually, because this is a really great example. So I'm Gayle Edwards, known as the Personal Brand Disruptor. I help people to create really compelling and magnetic messages across all their platforms so that they can build a brand that sticks. Okay, great stuff. However, I tend to say that I work with entrepreneurial disruptors. Who else could really benefit from the skills that I have, with the message that I have? And the same way how I ask myself that question, this is the time to ask yourself that question. If you've gone through and you followed all the steps and done all the stuff we've been talking about over the last few weeks, then here we are at step 4, where you can be asking yourself the question, who else? What else And this is real diversification. Last week we talked about leverage. This week I'm talking about diversifying your message, because there are other people who might need to hear or who may benefit from what you have. An accountant is great at helping you manage your business finances. That same skill that accountant has in terms of management, in terms of attention to detail, they're transferable skills. Where else are those skills needed so that they're not tied down into being an accountant? Because granted, look, this is life, as I've said, things are going to happen. It's going to come up again. Something's going to go wrong again. That's the beauty of this life that we get to experience on a daily basis. It's what happens to us whilst we're busy making plans. So whilst we're busy building the business of our dreams, life kind of sneaks up and says, ah, there you are, and tickles you on the back of the neck. Okay? And when it tickles you on the back of the neck and you jump because you weren't expecting it, that can throw other things out. So then what do? If you've got a plan that really helps you to diversify your business so that you start to think, how else can I apply my message? Where else can I apply? And the thing is, sometimes we know we've got transferable skills, but we don't know how to apply them. Well, talk about it to people in those new networks that you cultivated as a result of last week's exercise. You know, think about repackaging it. You know, I've got one of those little quirky little habits, okay? We've all got them. And one of mine is I keep gift bags and gift boxes. So anytime someone gives me a gift, and I've got literally hundreds of these things because I've kept them for years and years and years. So anytime someone gives me, you know, something in a little gift box, like a ring or bracelet or earrings, for example, I've got lots of earring boxes. I keep the little box or the little bag that it comes in, and all the gift bags, you know, millions of them. Gift bags are easy because I repurpose them. And sometimes the great thing about little gift boxes as well in repurposing them is that sometimes you see some things, you know, sometimes we're out on our travels and we see things and we think, oh, that's really sweet. That'd be a really nice present for. But, you know, depending on where we've bought it from, it probably comes in a paper bag or something that's not quite so, you know, hasn't quite got the level of presentation that you would want. Again, that's the copywriter in me. Do you hear that? The level of presentation. So it's great to have these little boxes, because what I do then is I just clean it, make sure it's all nicely polished up again, and then put it into one of these gift boxes, and then, you know, wrap it up lovely in a nice little bow and put it in one of my gift bags, and I give it to the person. My intention around that gift is exactly the same, okay, as if it was in a Tiffany's box or an Asprey's box. My intention is the same. It's given with love, and it's received with love and gratitude. And my point that I'm making is your message remains the same, but your strategy is the gift wrapping. Yeah? And that's how you diversify your message. That's how you diversify your business. Yeah? Your message is the same, but the strategy is the gift wrapping. So, how many types of gift wrapping have you got? Because we use different types of gift wrapping for different occasions. We don't tend to wrap birthday presents in Christmas paper unless someone's birthday is at Christmas. And even then, I don't do it, because anyone that has a birthday at Christmas, the one thing they get etchy about is the fact that everyone gives them one present, right? So don't do that either. We don't tend to use wedding celebration paper, you know, for the birth of a new baby either. That's your gift wrapping. That's your strategy. So how many types of gift wrap have you got? Can you find more than the one that you're using? So as we close out this series on Lost for Words, I'm going to really challenge anyone that's watching this and that has genuinely gone through adversity, genuinely thinking, I don't know what to do, has been following each week and doing little things each week. I'm going to challenge you and say, find 3 areas. There we go, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, why is that always so difficult? 3. Right, find 3 areas where your message is just as useful other than the one that you're in. If you're used to dealing with entrepreneurs, for example, as in my example, can what I have to deliver work in corporations? Can it work in different types of organizations? Could it work in the civil service and government? Who knows? Look at things like that. If you're used to working in a particular industry, for example, some of us, if you're only used to working in the media, then does this message work outside of the media? What strategy do you need to adapt so that it works outside of the media? Maybe it can work in finance, in legal, in retail. Where else can it work? If you have a message, is it something that can be applied to professional development, for example? Is it something that you can turn to your advantage by doing executive coaching, leadership, performance? Who knows? The truth is, we all have something which is transferable. We all have something that we can diversify, so that when these times happen, when we find ourselves lost for words, we can actually create new words. And for those of you that have been paying attention in the back, that's exactly what this whole series has been about. It's been about helping you to create a whole new vocabulary and a whole new narrative around who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, so that you are not stuck and so that you do not fall back. Because now it's time to forge ahead. It's time to start stepping into, they talk about it in Aladdin, a brave new world, or a whole new world, they say in Aladdin, but brave, you get it. Or is that Star Trek, New Frontier? Whichever, the sentiment is the same. Okay, so this is that time where we now start to look ahead and step out of our comfort zone and leave whatever happened behind, leave it where it belongs, in the past. And that's the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is to genuinely move on. People say it's so easy. Oh, right, well, you just need to move on. Have you ever tried moving on? Really moving on? You get so far and then you pull yourself back again, whether it be through thought, word, or deed. By following this series, having a great self-care routine in place, forging new networks and collaborations, using your vulnerability as leverage rather than a beating stick, and then using all of that to diversify into new markets. There's no need to look back. That's how you move on. So one of the things someone asked me last week was, can you ever genuinely move on? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because if you've got the right kind of people around you, as we spoke about in episode 3, how to create and cultivate those relationships, then you can move on. You can. So we've spoken quite a bit about diversification. I want to speak to you now about the next level of diversification, okay, which is about accountability. And we've already spoken about having networks to be able to keep you accountable, but what about self-accountability? Because some people say they find it really hard to motivate themselves, they find it hard to keep on track. But self-accountability is really key, especially when you've done the work. So what does that look like? What does that self-accountability? We will be accountable to others because we don't want to let other people down. That's human nature. We'll be accountable to ourselves, again, if we think that someone else is looking. We'll be accountable to ourselves then, because again, we don't want to let anyone down. We don't want to let them down to think, oh, we're not doing it. And we don't want them to think that we're quitters either. So we'll just do it. But supposing nobody's looking, no one's depending on you, it's just you. That's self-accountability. It is. That's self-accountability. So what can you put in place to make sure that you don't let yourself down? To make sure that you keep going on the vision, the goals, the promises that you've laid out? What can you do? Well, one thing I've learned this year is that time is immaterial. So I'm working on something at the moment that really throws time-based goals, blows them out of the water, to be honest, because this year has proven that it's not about time. Because we've all had more time than we've ever had. Some of us have used that time really well, and some of us haven't. There's no judgment either way. So it's not about time. I know people who have said, oh, if only I had more time, I'm so busy, I'm always caught up with this, I'm always caught up with that. And now this year they've had so much time, they've been at home for over 6 months now. Most, people that are still working from home have been at home. They're not going out. They've got a lot of time, but they're still not working on the things that they say they wanted. So I know people who say, oh, if I had time, I'd write a book. Well, you've got time. Where's the book? You haven't written it. If I had time, I'd exercise. You've got time. Where's the exercise? They haven't done it. So time is not the thing here. Time is not the thing that's holding us back. We think it is, but it's not. So when it comes to time measured goals, I'm throwing those out. You know me, I'm a disruptor, so you expect me to say something, but I am, because I now know that it's not time. So when people have time sensitive goals, how motivational is that really? So when I talk about self-accountability, I'm talking about what are you going to do that keeps you moving in the right direction for you on a day-to-day basis. And it's not about, oh, by December the 31st, I'm going to have X, Y, Z. That's a time-sensitive goal. We're not doing those. I want to know, what are you going to do on a day-to-day basis that keeps you moving forward? And that doesn't have to be about, right, I'm going to write this or I'm going to do that. It just needs to be something simple. It can be, you know what? I just need to make sure that each morning I have a routine that allows my mind to get into the right gear for the day. The right mindset routine. It could be something as simple as that. But with self-accountability, you're the only one responsible. Because you now know that, number one, things go wrong, but you also know how to deal with it if things go wrong. So the third one now is, you know what happens when things go wrong, you know how to deal with it when things go wrong. So now I'm going to put my accountability and resilience plan into action so that even if when things go wrong, I'm still strong. I'm still standing, my personal brand remains intact, my commercial brand remains intact, and we just keep it moving. It's not that you don't feel or you don't experience, but you know how to keep it moving. Your accountability and resilience plan. So before we go, so this is your accountability and resilience plan. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to get a notepad and pen. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. And at the top of there, you're going to now write my daily accountability and resilience plan. Number 1. Step number 1. To be myself. Yeah? Step number 1 is I'm going to be myself. Step number 2 is to do what brings me joy. Yeah? This is your 3-step accountability and resilience plan. It may end up being 5 actually, because I just thought about something else, but it's definitely 3 steps. Number 1 is to be myself. Number 2 is to do what brings me joy. Number 3 is to surround myself only with people who mean the utmost best for me in the same way that I mean the utmost best for them. Yeah? 3 things. I surround myself with people who want the utmost best for me in the same way that I want the utmost best for myself. And number 4, all opportunities are great opportunities, but only if I take them. All opportunities are great opportunities, but only if I take them. Now, the thing about number 4 is that you might say, well, no, not all opportunities are great. If you don't think they're great, you're not going to take them. That makes sense, doesn't it? If you don't think they're great, you're not going to take them. So if you take it, if you have an opportunity and you take it, then by the very nature of the fact that you've taken it, treat it as a great opportunity. There's no point taking it and then thinking, oh, I'm not sure if this is good or not, because that decision-making process comes before you take the opportunity. So this is your accountability and resilience plan for how to make sure that you can bounce back and recover greater than you did before. Okay? And number 5 is, write this down word for word, because I don't know what the answer is to this. Only you know the answer. Is I'm going to do blank. Okay, so leave a blank space because you're going to fill in that blank. I'm going to do blank because I have been putting it off for too long and the world needs it. I'm working on it now. Did you get that? I'm going to do blank because I've been sitting on it for too long and the world needs it, and the world needs it. I'm working on it now. I don't know what that blank is, but whatever that blank is, you fill in the blanks. That's your legacy piece of work. So to wrap up, in this 4-part series, we've not only looked at what to do when things go wrong and how to recover, but we've also looked at how to diversify your business so that you're not just caught in one industry. Gosh, if ever there was a time that told us that we had to diversify, surely this is it. Imagine all those people that were in travel. Some of those have learned, some of those already had diversity plans or diverse plans in action. So they've been able to diversify. But what about those who didn't? What about those who didn't? And we've also looked at your own personal accountability and resilience plan. The things you can do to help to keep yourself accountable, but also to keep yourself resilient. So thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to be able to bring this 4-part series to you. I hope it has been helpful to some of you. Feel free to share it with others. Please feel free to come and connect with me You can find me on all social media as Gayle Edwards, brand new, or of course, you can contact me via Linktree, Gayle Edwards on Linktree. I don't even know how you link Linktree, but I'm sure if you go onto Linktree and look for Gayle Edwards or Linktree.Gayle Edwards, or even on my bit.ly link, bit.ly/brand new biz, capital B, capital Y, capital B, brand new biz. But it has been an absolute pleasure, and I really hope that this has been helpful and useful for some of you. By all means, drop me a line. Let me know, how did you find it? Do you want some more? Would you like a little less? And I'll be coming back to Brand Builders TV very soon with another series. But in the meantime, thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show today as much as we've enjoyed making it for you. If you've got anything out of this episode, please do tell someone else how they can subscribe to the Brand Builders TV channel at youtube.com/brandbuilderstv. Why not join us at our next Brand Builders Thinkubator, a global mastermind that we run every week to take away the loneliness of being in business on your own. For more information and to book your place, visit light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. That's light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. Until next time, be the ripple that you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you soon.